When you're making a film, you need to think of who you are catering to. Are you catering to the educated or the elite, or are you doing mass markets? Because if you are doing mass markets, then you need to cast some type of actors, some certain actors, and your film, unfortunately, forgive me for saying this, should not be too deep or too smart.
As sad as it sounds, intellectual is not necessarily the most exciting word to use in the same sentence as the industry crisis.
Wow.
It's a sad reality.
So as a young filmmaker, if I'm going to make a film, I will have to rely on friends or family or people that believe in me. And then when you don't have that, when that happens, so that's not structure. That's the stroke of luck. That's like one person out of like many people. So I feel like there are many stories that are really good, that will be really good for the audience to see and watch, and brilliant.
So one of the very first questions I asked my guests is, what have you been up to for the past 6 months? And this time I'll start with Tito, and then we go down.
All right. 2025. I've been watching Nollywood films and series and reviewing them on my YouTube channel as usual. It's been a bit of a slow-paced year. Yeah, there hasn't been anything. Yeah, aside from the AMVCAs, which the AMVCAs to this year was interesting. I think that's
Too much interesting these days, but yeah. So that's how the year has been for me thus far.
nothing major, just same old.
Awesome. Didi Stories. Oh,
Alive.
so tell me, what have you been up to for the past 6 months?
I mean, outside of surviving, I just finished. I'm in post-production for a series that I did, To Love and to Hold, that I directed and co-wrote.
Great. Is rom-com
No, it's drama.
full of there?
Eh?
Love is dramatic.
It's drama. So yeah, but we are currently in post-production for it, wrapping that up. And outside of just writing, surviving Nigeria, and watching stuff that coming out in the industry. So yeah, nothing much.
Awesome. So yeah, doing stuff there.
I wanna do more.
All right, great. So let's come to Presley. Who's the king dapper as usual?
Thank you very much.
Why did you say that me I'm looking that far? Come back to me.
There we go. A couple things. First of all, of course, there's the radio show #MTSS, movies, theme songs, and soundtracks. We're currently, trying to shift from being just an innovative show to being versatile. So not just on radio, you can also then watch on YouTube. This should happen in a couple of months. Also, by God's special grace. We also have the podcast currently in production. That is happening. I'm also working on a couple shows that I want to put out before the year runs out. But I'd say even more recently, if you're watching this, you should absolutely go check out The Wise, new series on YouTube. I'm part of the team that put that all together. I'm quite proud of it also. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So let me go back to Didi Stories, who's looking beautiful.
It's just quite deep.
Lies. This one that I forced it out of him.
And it's just a simple question, right? Are you happy with the way the state of the industry is at the moment?
And you said it's just a simple question. It's not a simple question. Because when you said, are you happy? I thought you're asking me generally as a human being, am I happy? I say, I can't be in this country at this moment. I'll be happy. But with the state of industry, I mean, generally, to be honest, there are things that I would say, yes, I'm happy about. And there are things that I'm like, oh, I'm not so happy about. I think one of the things that I'm happy about is how a lot of people that are my peers in the industry are making moves and are making things that are interesting, like Red Circle that just did the cinema run. It was made by a community of young filmmakers, and that's something that I'm absolutely proud of and happy about.
Yes.
And not so happy about is like, I think maybe sort of old user, but like some of the opportunities that we have lost as an industry with some of the streaming platforms that have left the industry, and how that has maybe taken away some opportunities from some people. But it's interesting to see that some people are also innovating and finding other ways to still put out movies in the industry.
Awesome. good stuff. That was a good thing. So let me come back to Presley. I know you've also been seeing a lot of Nollywood films and also TV shows as well. What has been like an exciting title that you've seen this year so far?
Ooh, an exciting title I've seen this year so far. I did enjoy Red Circle.
Yeah.
I did like Red Circle. What else is there that comes to mind right now?
It's just mass streaming.
Streaming platforms. Nollywood, because it does say State of Nollywood.
Yes, so don't mention all this stuff.
It's interesting that when questions like this come up is when everything just evaporates from your mind. I did enjoy Red Circle for sure. I'm saying that again. What else did I really like? Oh, none comes to mind right now. Actually, maybe if I did more, that would
Not really. Something will come.
yeah. And this is not to say there weren't a couple impressive stuff. Maybe one or two, but yeah, I'm not thinking about two right now.
Tito, impressive Nollywood stuff.
So I saw Zikoko has put out 3 short films in recent times, and one of them got the highest rating because I have a jollof rating on my YouTube. Yeah, so
We call it Jollof.
jollof rating, yes, it's something that Delphine Okoba, she used to review. She's a mother now and a family woman, so she's in ministry now. But
an OG.
So she was an OG, and I reached out to her and asked if I could use her jollof because she used to use jollof. Yeah. So I reached out. She's a friend of mine. I said, "Can I use your jollof?" She said, "Sure, fine, go ahead." So after reviewing things on Nollywood on my channel, I give it a jollof rating between 1 and 5.
Nice.
So I think What's Left of Us, which was the first of the 3 short films that Zipoko put out a few weeks ago, I gave that 4.5 jollofs, 4.5 over 5. Yeah, it was compact, was nice, was done in Abuja. Did they get points? Anything done outside Lagos gets a point. So, and it was compelling. And the 3 shorts that they've been putting out in recent times are about all these life issues. I think the second one was called Something Sweet and was about a younger man, older woman. So there are these interesting dynamics that no one has really touched on, right? So to answer your question, I'd say What's Left of Us, which has gotten thus far my highest rating of 2025 on my YouTube channel.
I'm curious, no one has been your lowest rating on advertising. Yeah.
Oh. Incidentally, I ran into someone of yes. I won't mention their name, but they were a good sport about it. But I do remember, I can't remember the rating.
What didn't work for you in that film?
It was too not grandiose. It was trying to be very, very deep. It didn't need to be so deep. You could have, from the casting to the way the story was being told, and I mean, we're all people who watch Hollywood, and we see things from elsewhere. So sometimes when we see our Nollywood projects, like these guys were trying to imitate this Clint Eastwood film or this Tarantino film or whatever. References and even some character traits. So anyway, I don't want to get into it because if I talk too much, it's if I go to my YouTube, I'm not gonna look for anything that I rated poorly.
No, I mean that they can go watch your opinion about different films on your YouTube. That's
To look for.
No, I don't want to say anymore.
Keep it. Let's see. Okay. Didi, I want to ask you, what's the identity of Nollywood right now in terms of how do you think the local market sees us and how do you think the global market sees us?
I like how he's asked me the.
Thank you. God bless you. Because I was about to say, me, don't you think that I have movies that I watched that I like?
He's a gentleman. Listen, that's what.
I'm like, don't you think there are movies that I watched that I liked, that I want to mention?
You work in the industry, so I don't want to put in a position because if I'm going to ask you your highest rated, I'm going to ask you.
No, you're not.
Did you tell your mind?
I will not say anything. I will not say anything. No, but yes. So sorry. The question I asked about how I think the local markets and the international market is
Nollywood.
I genuinely, I don't know that I necessarily know how they perceive us because whatever I say is going to be my opinion, which basically is what you're asking me. But I think like as somebody who is consistently online and also within the Nollywood space of like reading and checking out what the audience are saying about what we are putting out, because the industry, would I say to an extent, is divided into like different ways, like where there are people that are consistently putting out stuff on YouTube, which is also part of the industry. There are people putting out stuff in cinemas, which is still part of the industry. And do you understand? And even one or two things that still come out on Prime and those kind of spaces are still coming out. I think but I would assume that as someone that is on the side of making things, is very weird to have like an opinion about how they're perceiving us, because if I say something negative, I'm also talking about myself, because I'm a filmmaker and I'm not going to remove myself from it. But I would assume like there are certain people who are like happy because um they have access to so many more movies because of the YouTube space now, where like they can just go to YouTube and they have like a multitude of options. What they feel about those options is left to them.
Right.
Do you understand? But like they have more access now, and YouTube is like, once you have data, you can watch. But for streaming platforms, then you have to subscribe or you have to be added to somebody's platform, or you have to stream it illegally, which we don't like or advise. So I think in that aspect, the opinion is that there is stuff for people to watch. There is so many more options for people to watch, and it's left to them to have an opinion on how they feel about those different options that they have. For the international market, I think the streaming platforms living has taken away their eyes. No, their eyes on what we are doing. Like we don't have, like, I remember when Black Book came out, it was everywhere. There were people from Brazil and many different countries having access to Nollywood and having something to say. Like there's nothing of that nature now happening. So it's almost as if maybe we are in our own small world and everything. Even when few things still come out, I believe it now comes out only within like a certain region, African region. So it kind of limits what opinion that the global audience would have about Nollywood. So I feel like maybe there is the knowledge that has died down that aspect for us at this moment. Yeah.
Awesome. So one more question across the board, and then we'll start the pillars of industry grading. All right. I want to come to you, Presley, and ask you, right now, in terms of like the storytelling, and like cinema culture, and how the audience engages with Nollywood so far. Which, to be honest, I think these days it seems like as if we're getting a lot of like negative reviews on films.
Right.
And I wanted to ask your take on why are the audiences getting, not happy with what Nollywood is outputting at this time.
Right. Because you said cinema culture, I would want to, ask again and say, are you talking about just us appreciating the film or talking about the quality of the films?
Yes, appreciating the film.
Appreciating the film. I mean, I feel like I personally have talked about this a number of times, and for someone who's an avid cinema, goer, it definitely is not a great sight when you consider what's happening in cinemas currently. And yes, there's a number of ways you can have this conversation. You want to talk about what's happening in the economy, even the quality of films that's are going to the cinema, or even the politics that's happening in cinema these days. That's another kettle of fish. But if we're speaking to the experience of going to the cinema and just cinema culture, it definitely has declined a whole lot in the last couple of years, and it's not the most exciting. Again, if you absolutely love going to the cinema to watch movies, but if I just speak into the quality, there was something Didi said earlier, which is there are things that excite you about industry, and there are also things that do not excite you. And at the risk of sounding like a philosopher, I would say I'd say that just think about the good sides, which is even the things that are not working. I believe that it's also an opportunity for us to look at them critically and, find out the things that are working. I do think that we've had certain quality movies in recent time.
Right.
What these quality movies have done is they've put us in a place where you can then ask questions about the other movies that are not good. And you're not coming from a standpoint of maybe a hater or anything. People can actually say, you're speaking from an informed stand of view.
Absolutely.
Because you can compare this to this or use this reference to that one. This is of course not to say that there aren't other films that are not doing that great, but I think that the more of this we have and the more of this we have, at some point there will be that filter. At some point the conversation will keep happening, and if you don't wake up and catch on to doing quality stuff, I most believe that you just go with the breeze.
Awesome. Tito, I wanted to ask you a much more specific question is right now, are we putting out quality stuff in the industry?
No.
Tell me more.
Okay. I think lately
and this is they can contribute if they want. So I think in the last couple of years, if not more, camera quality, cinematography has been on the up and up. But the writing, and Didi is a writer as well. The writing, the storytelling, the quality of the stories, and in many cases the acting seems to be deteriorating. It's worrisome, and I think to what they answered earlier about the perception of things right now, I think that's what's affecting the perception, and it's tricky too because when it comes to cinema going, I'll just try and make this quick. When it comes to cinema going, it's maybe the lower class or middle/lower class that goes to cinema. The bank execs, the people, high income earners, they don't have time. But the films that appeal to them are the
Hollywood.
not in terms of Nollywood now, right?
Nollywood, right.
Are maybe the black books,
Right.
the thinking man's films. So if you're making a thinking man's film, right, and you're putting it in cinema, you're shooting yourself in the foot because your audience is not going to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Your educated audience is not going to. The people going to the cinema are going for slapstick and all those, big Yoruba, a lot of those films that have lots of Yoruba stars in them. Not even parties, but the big Yoruba actors. Yoruba party scene is even let me not name names, but it seems like it's something that they put in there. So it's a tricky situation. I think that's what I'm saying. It's a tricky situation, and at the end of the day, when you're making a film, you need to think of who you are catering to. Are you catering to the educated or the elite, or are you doing mass markets? Because if you are doing mass markets, then you need to cast some type of actors, some certain actors, and your film, unfortunately, forgive me for saying this, should not be too deep or too smart
For the cinema audience.
Yes,
For the cinema.
unfortunately.
You're trying to get it.
I think it's a very good time to start our grading. So right now, I'm going to ask my guests to grade the industry based on 5 pillars. We have 5, which is the highest on the table, and we have 0, which is the slowest on the table.
I'll just hold 5.
As a filmmaker,
guest of mine
Health.
to himself. And I'm like,
They can see it now.
I am for 5. But here's a rule.
I'm for the industry.
Because of that, here's the rule. You
Because
can't
they're not
give the
developed.
card twice.
Back to
That's so. Lies we have told.
Did you hold 2 and 3, 5, 2 plus 3, 5.
It's going to be on infrastructure and production quality. And this is how do you guys grade the industry in terms of number of studios, equipment availability, technical resources, quality of post-production facilities, and number of competent production houses. I'm going to start with Presley. Oh, sorry, pause a second. Want to play a game. Everybody's going to pick their card at the same time. Are we ready? Have you spotted your card?
I'm ready now.
So once I say guest, take your card. So let's have some drama and suspense there.
Okay.
Guest, take your card. Ooh. Oh, raise it up, son. Raise it a bit.
2, 3, 4.
Lowest, 2. Yeah, Presley.
First of all, see that category you named. It sounds it's broad. It sounds intellectual, and as sad as it sounds, intellectual is not necessarily the most exciting word to use in the same sentence as the industry currently. It's a sad reality, let's just be honest with ourselves. Where we are is not great for that particular category.
Interesting.
There's not progress in it. There's a lot of products.
I think it's a very encompassing group. There are different things. I think there's a difference between the availability of all those things and different opinions as to how they are used in the industry. So my 4 is based on you saying availability of those things in our industry. And as somebody that works in the industry, I'm very aware that they are available. There's no camera that there's no version of camera that we don't have. You won't find it to rent
Yeah,
in the industry. Like for Red, all of those things, they are available.
Somebody was
Do you understand?
they got the Netflix spec, and the same look that they got the Netflix spec, which is like the highest of the highest, that week somebody was bringing it into the country. That same, without even having a conversation with them.
So that's what I'm saying. Like those things are available to. Do you understand? My fault is because obviously there is room for improvement. I'm not going to deny, but I'm saying like we are no longer an industry that is relying on like very low quality cameras to shoot. Do you understand? We have a lot of production houses. There are even individuals now that are opening up their own production houses and successfully putting out film. That's the reason for my rating. My rating is not based on what the output looks like. That's the difference of opinion because yes, so that was why I wanted you to repeat it, because that's why I picked my phone. They are available, we have them, so yeah.
I mean, I'll mirror what Didi said. It's those listeners are available. I think the only thing, and maybe that's why I gave it a 3. I think from your list, maybe locations, and it can be in that category.
Yes, infrastructure, production capacity. Yes,
Because there are scenes. I mean, recently To Kill a Monkey came out, and just to let me not go off track, I felt like there were scenes in that series that would have been better filmed in a purpose-built facility rather than in actual homes, that could have given us more diverse angles and things like that, rather than just so I think we don't have purpose-built facilities, enough of them, or just don't have enough of them. That's what I think. And that's something I really like about Nia Kimolayo, and the fact that he purpose-built a whole lot of set, and it gives very broad, very dynamic angles and shots.
So my next pillar that I'll be asking my guests to grade is talent pool and creative development. So you guys are going to grade based on availability and training of actors, writers, directors, cinematographers, access to film schools and workshops, as well as support for screenwriting and storytelling culture. My guests, please take your cards.
Okay, we should take our cards.
Yes.
I love Tito. Tito is in deep state right now.
Okay. Lord, let's have your lowest. Didi.
Yes. So I think the reason that made me pick 2 is when you kept on reading out the everything that's sub category. We have people interested in these different, like we have people interested in being actors, we have people interested in being directors, producers, writers, everything that you mentioned, but we unfortunately still lack the necessary capacity to train in order to make them to make us, because I'm not going to remove myself, to make us better at our craft. Is mostly like individual training yourself, figuring out a way to make it work, learning on the job. Yes, learning on the job is very important, especially with this our industry. It's important to like learn on the job. But imagine if we had like a lot of proper film schools that train for these different categories, like is it standard for writing, is it structure for writing, and then you are trained. And we have a few, but those few are not able to contain, or to like, it's not enough for like all people that are very interested. So I think a lot of the times it shows up on the quality of the books that we put out. And I'm saying we because I'm also a part of the industry. Like I'm not going to remove myself from it. And also, even as a writer director, like it's be interesting to like be like, oh, let me take like 6 months off and do a training. Do you understand? It's not readily available to me as somebody that works in the industry and lives in Nigeria. So, and I would assume that is also the case for a lot of people, especially when you are not starting out. Like when you are not new, when you're already in the industry, you can't like, when you're working in the corporate world, like, oh, let me take a 6 months course.
The next
and then you can elevate. Yes. So most of the trainings that are available are late for like people starting out, people that are entry level. But when you're already in the industry like for 8 years, 10 years, and you want to be like, oh, let me brush up on my training. If you're not going to YouTube to learn, then there is really no space and no institution that is available for you to learn. And that's what like, and that's like there is that gap is really, really, really missing.
Awesome. Tito, you want to answer that?
I mean, when she said get it in this next level, I thought like, okay, so if somebody wanted to become like, get on like incest level, it's like, it's in right. How does that one even achieve that? But why I picked 3, right? It's maybe the issue is with the question. It's like Nigeria. Like Nigeria, you and I know, plus people watching, we know that Nigeria has so many resources and human capital.
Right.
After church, yes, on Sunday, I saw these young boys, just begging, able-bodied young men that could be productive, earn income for themselves and for the country. My point is, the raw materials are there, but so bringing it back to Nollywood,
Right.
the talents are there, but are those talents going? It does. If I'm saying that they're there, are we able to be given the chance to carry scripts and to appear in a film? Because they may be there, like the raw materials in Nigeria are there.
The raw talent.
The raw talent is there. Is the system going to process that talent and produce something? So this is the issue with Nollywood.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't really impressed. Definitely. I mean, I agree with Tito. The question says talent pool and creative development. If I phrase it in the way you did, hands down, like you said, first of all, we need to understand one thing. There's a sea of people that wanna, and it's not just even in film. It's almost a Nigerian thing, I guess. If something is working, everybody wants to do it, right? And if we're also be honest, some people out there still feel like filmmaking is a hobby. So there's a crop of people that just want to dabble in it in the meantime, but we'll speak to that conversation on a later time.
Right.
The numbers are just too much. There's just so many people that want to do this all at once, and we definitely don't have enough resources to cater to everyone. But again, I mostly like to just come from the angle of, I believe very strongly that the ones that are actually here for the right reasons, at some point you will figure it out. Maybe I'm also speaking from a standpoint of, a beneficiary of actual film schools. I did attend the in Life Creative Academy, and I've done 2 programs with AFRIF. And I absolutely loved every single time I did that, either as a director or a writer. But mind you, the 2 screenplays that I currently have that are being produced, I wrote them before I even went to film school at all. So to a large extent, I can actually say I'm not doing this because I'm jobless. I want to make films. Do you understand? And I do believe to a very large extent that, some way, somehow, you will hear the name AA Presley, not because it was a stroke of faith. And I believe that if there are other people like that also, some way you figure it out of the crowd. So as far as the conversation, is there talent? Yes, there is. The conversation we want to have is because there's a lot. I mean, we have so many institutions catering to that lot. If you fall in that bracket of, it's 100 people and there are just 10 slots, if you just keep at it, I do believe that one day you'll be a part of the 10. Awesome.
Sorry, to add to, or it's not a counter to what he has said, but like he mentioned that he attended Ebony Life Academy. If you notice, like a lot of people that attend Ebony Life Academy are like early stage or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, even to bring in, let me use another industry as an example, like our football. We recently won WAFCON. If you notice, more than half of our players are all trained in other countries. Do you understand? We are never really the people training the people that are giving us, even during Olympics, a lot of our athletes that do very well are trained in America, trained in all these different countries. Do you understand? Yes, but they come back and they play for Nigeria.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So I feel like we can bring it back to Nollywood, where it's like I said before, if you are not early stage, if you are not just starting out, you barely have any way to upskill your skill, except you are doing the hard work of like learning on your own. But there is such a thing as like institutionalized learning, where somebody that is a professional is impacting you with knowledge, is teaching you what they know. Like it's telling you this is the system, this is how it's done. Then as a creative, you can now take your own liberty and be like, okay, I've learned the process, then I can break the rules. You cannot break rules that you don't know the rules of. You have to know the rules for you to be able to break it. So if I'm going to use myself as an example. I started out as a writer, and then I started directing my first, apart from doing short films. When I did an accelerated filmmaker project, that's my training to understand into the industry. That was my short film, but that was a 2 weeks training. That's not enough to make me a director. That was just for me to be like, okay, yes, I genuinely truly want to do this thing.
Right.
But by rights, like things like all this New York Film Academy and all these other places, even South Africa has a lot of film school. A lot of universities in Nigeria don't even offer film as a course. It's theater. Theater.
To move to the next pillar right now, and this is funding and investment, where I'm going to ask my guests to access. What did you think about the grading for access to public and private funding? Process of grants, tax, I can see Didi moving already. Process of grant, tax incentives or co-production agreements, and of course, investor confidence and risk appetites of local film projects.
No. As he was going on and going, I was like, okay, there's so many prudence.
Say your cards. 3.
What am I was so sure I would sit on 5 throughout this thing.
3. Go upside down. All right. Lowest Didi Stories.
Why me? Why am I? I think because in the room, like, we are bearing the brunt of it. Do you understand? We are the filmmakers where there's no looking for my words. Yes. No. I'm not even trying to be very careful about that. I'm trying to be honest about it. Yes. That's why I picked 2. I moved and I picked 2. If I wasn't trying to be honest, I would take like 5 or 4 and lie to each other. It's really hard to assess investments. That's the long and short of it. It's not for me to blame any particular person or say it's the fault of this person. It's just very hard to access investments. And again, because I'm not on the side of the people investing, I will not say why they are not investing. I don't know, do you understand? Maybe they're not making their money back, or maybe they don't have trust in the industry. So I'm just going to speak from a filmmaker point of view, where you're not going to walk into a bank and be like, oh, I want a loan to make a film. Do you understand? And this is how you're going to make your money back. There is no structured ways for accessing funds as filmmakers. There are a couple of countries that have government incentive. They're like the Korean film industry, Asian film industry. They have a lot of government
Commission boards, state boards.
They're like, because that's one of it, like they consider entertainment important, and that's one of their exports, their biggest exports. Do you understand? So they are giving you all the different incentives for you to make films. Unfortunately, we do not have that in the industry. So as a young filmmaker, if I'm going to make a film, I will have to rely on friends or family or people that believe in me. And then when you don't have that, when that happens, so that's not structure. That's the stroke of luck. That's like one person out of like many people. So I feel like there are many stories that are really good, that will be really good for the audience to see and watch and bring lines, but they don't have the access. So you now have to be like, okay, what do you do? I mean, we all have the same answer. Make small things, make it with your friends, keep on growing before it can happen to you. But for how long? Do you understand?
All right, so let's to the next pillar, which is distribution and exhibition. What do you guys think in terms of our reach of domestic films in cinemas, streaming platforms, and TV, presence of local film festivals, and quality and number of theaters? Please grade the industry in terms of distribution and exhibition. Take your cards. Presley. Presley, your name. Space call your name.
It's interesting that some of these conversations sort of feed into one another. True. But just to answer the question really directly and straight to the point, we definitely don't have enough institutions or even organizations interested in showcasing films. How many film festivals can you count in Nigeria? If I've been honest, just one. Okay, maybe in recent time 2, because now there's this shit here. There's Afro. I mean, if we're talking about, I almost don't want to say credibility or acclaim, but there really is just one that's very popular. What does they matter as well? The small ones matter, yes, they do. But then again, if we look at it from a standpoint of how people can appreciate them, yes, that then also goes to show where we are and why this question is it's important. And that's also a conversation that we should have, but that's a separate kettle of fish for another day. I do think that, quite like you said about funding, we definitely need a lot more platforms for a lot more films. One of the reasons why we would always talk about how we don't have enough platforms, or there's not enough quality, or there's not enough people, right? Because there are not enough firms or bodies or quality control systems.
Yes.
So where we are, is good, but there's a whole lot more that we can do.
Awesome. So final pillar is regulatory and institutional support. What do you think government policy towards the film industry, existence of film commissions, and protection of intellectual property and freedom of expression? Guests, just take your cards.
Let's say, oh, room my car.
Absolutely not. If you're on this table, the car will grow. Presley is taking a zero.
I mean, it has already done less, so just ask him, like, what is he?
Let's start with the 3.
No, I'm still trying to process the question, if I'm being honest.
Regulatory and institutional support on the
Support from the government.
The ability to speak freely.
We don't.
Meet your
Okay, then if that's the primary thing, I'll say 1, I mean, the government they don't stand in our way, Nollywood's way that much, but they could do a whole lot better. I think I'll just leave it at that. It's evident, and that, I mean, the government just doesn't. I don't think they contend with Nollywood the way they should. Maybe 1 or 2 administrations have. Maybe Goodluck, Jonathan administration did. Oh yeah, and also if creative economy does the fund as well. But I don't think. I mean, in terms of regulation and censorship, I don't be done.
Can I say 2 lines? Right, 2 lines, because I don't want to. It's a long conversation. I'll probably get passionate and I'll start to say a lot of things. There was a time that the phrase regulatory body would actually excite you. We're no longer there. Right. As a matter of fact, while you're correct about how the government doesn't stand in the way of the creative economy these days, it's really because I would say that they don't care. As a matter of fact, what the government does now is mostly use it as a tool for their own agenda when they are ready. And that's it's a ridiculous reality to be in.
Didi, we're out of time, but go for it.
You can't be out of time. It's interesting because Tito, we went to a premiere recently, and there's a question he asked me. I answered, what do I think a particular body was going to feel about this film, about that film?
Yeah, this film place.
So as I was saying,
To affect what because I want to hear what you say.
no, because it's very interesting that we have in our industry, if I'm speaking quite honestly, had films where you are like, they're going to pull this out of the cinema, or this is not going to show. We have had blockbusters or popular cult classics now that went to court for certain reasons.
Right.
So I don't think that's an industry where you can speak freely, if I'm being very honest. So you are very much sensitive to what you are saying as a filmmaker when you are writing. Who is going to have a problem with what I'm saying?
All right. So I think we're going to put a pen to that particular pillar, but thank you so much for your inputs and for your time. I want to ask 1 more question, but I know my director is going to come on board. I want to
You put 3 people on this, and the sound the 2 people I sit so.
Director,
quick go around. Is the future of the industry bright? Yes or no?
yes.
Yes.
Long term, yes. Short term, no.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
This will be my
Trailer track, but thank you so much to everybody that has watched this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on socials at Shock Africa. Until we see you in the next episode, bye bye. Say bye bye, Swag.
Hi.